The next era, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a very important era for Galaxy of Heroes, and it looks like CG is actually gearing up to try and do something big, to try and do some new changes to really help turn around the state of this game. Now, I did a video recently talking about, is this game coming to end of life, or does it still have hope for the future? My personal stance on this, of course, as you well know, ladies and gentlemen, of course I don't think the game is dying. So this was for Stormtrooper Luke that I did. That turns out to be 441,446. So that is about 60,000 more than what we have currently for Claire. So we have seen a drop-off in spending. People are not putting as much money into leveling characters for the era leveling currency, using that era leveling currency, purchasing it, investing it to get those high level units. They're not investing as hard into 7-star unlocks of brand new marquees. We can see this evidence. We can see it in the game compared to last era. Now, there are a couple of things that I think are driving that. Partly because I think last era of the anniversary, we probably saw inflated numbers because there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of hype, a brand new game mode, a new way to play the game. Lots of new players coming in for the 10-year anniversary. Spider-Legs Maul, Stormtrooper Luke, fan favorite characters come in. And whenever we see fan favorite characters come in, we see a big influx in new players and people creating alt accounts and people spending more money, generally speaking. It makes sense after that era that it drops off. We saw the exact same thing with the Order 66 raid, okay? We had the Nightfall era. Huge fan favorite idea, Darkside clones come into the game, right? And we had things like Jedi Master Mace Windu, and we had Depper, and we had Temple Guard that nobody really cares about. And then we saw a drop-off, about 100,000 player drop-off when we went onto Pirates. And people are thinking, oh, Pirates has killed the game, right? But that wasn't true either. That was just the people that came for the influx of the Order 66 raid left. So it just kind of balanced out. We're still up year on year on player base. We still got about 400,000 players playing this game, roughly, give or take. Now, I don't think that this drop-off that we saw between the era of the anniversary and the era of Andor that we've got right now is any real different to what happened then, all right? However, back then I said CG is willing to throw money into this game, and they wouldn't do that if they thought they were going to be closing the doors anytime soon. Putting money into developing a game mode like Colosseum, and putting money into developing a brand new system, like the Era system, okay? We might not like it, I'm not saying we like it, but the fact that they're putting money into it and trying new things shows that they have hope for the future of the game, okay? Now, the interesting thing about this is recently there have been some more data mines. More data mines to suggest that CG is willing to put more money into the game to try and bring in new players and retain those players. There has been a very deliberate sort of shift in focus from CG, right? They're sort of not really caring so much about their established whales and the long-term players of the game, which is disappointing to me as a long-term whale and player of this game. I throw money at this, it makes me cry. Instead, their focus seems to be towards more the new whale, the new player experience, right? They want to try and get that influx of players, probably because they're looking at it as like a new player coming to play this game has got way more stuff to spend their hard-earned dollars, their dineros, their cappuccinos. That's not valid currency. I wish it was, though. Because they just don't have the depth of roster. They're coming at this from a new player perspective. And they're like, oh, I can buy this Lightspeed bundle and this Lightspeed bundle and these Lightspeed tokens, and I can invest in the Colosseum game mode and get new characters up, and I have to compete with only other new whales that are doing it. Right? There's so much more money to be made, essentially, for hooking in new whales, rather than catering just to the old whales. All right? So that's what it feels like. But there are some data mines that I want to talk to you about that sort of reinforce this idea that CG is still willing to invest in the game. They still have hope for the future of the game. All right, let's take a look. So if we head over to the game assets data mine on the Swiggo Events Discord server, we can see a couple of new things, right? This came in yesterday at 1:30 in the morning. We've got C3PO over here. Why C3PO? Who knows? But if you look at it, text character UI onboarding C3PO. All right. Same thing over here. IPD. Text character onboarding Imperial probe droid. Now, obviously, C-3PO is a very popular character. He's a mainstream fan favorite sort of character. I don't know why they chose IPD instead of Grievous, maybe? I don't know. Maybe they're thinking the Empire fact. Maybe this is a shift towards the focus of the original trilogy more, because we're seeing that in broader Star Wars terms as well. Galaxy of Edge. It's changing from a sequels-based sort of thematic towards an original trilogy one. Maybe this is what they're doing here as well. I don't know. That might be counteracted by this next one. But down here, we have got Geonosis Skybox text. Now, the skybox is usually an indication of something that's in the background as part of a bigger picture, right? You get a big box with a name, sort of like how they changed over here. If we just check this out real quick, I believe if we go... Hi, Fennec, by the way. If we go over to, like, inbox and you go to, like, the newsletter, it's like this, right? This back here is the skybox, and they're probably going to have C-3PO and IPD, right? And you can see all this text here. I think this is going to be, essentially, a new newsletter or some such, right? So, back over here, where this picture will be that background, right? Not only that, I don't know why it's Geonosis as well. Like, if you've got any ideas why they might be showing Geonosis, answers on a postcard, because I genuinely, no idea. No idea. Down here, we've got some more stuff. We have got onboarding pop-up background. So it looks like we're going to have some sort of... They use these blue lines quite frequently. I imagine it will be a little bit bigger as well. We've got some J.J. Abrams-inspired lens flare. And then finally, we've got this weird circular button here, that Scanline's default button, right? In isolation, they don't really make a whole lot of sense. It's a little bit confusing, a little bit weird, right? But if we also check the general data mine, there's a few other hints and tips. Check this out. FTUE. I don't know what that stands for. FTUE. I don't know. First time user experience. Intro video. Line 1. If I could just take a quick moment from you, tribe. Pretty pleased with a cherry on top. When I check through the metrics of my videos, it disheartens me to see that only about 50% of you guys are actually subbed. I would really, really like to get the best videos out to you as possible. And in order for me to do that, I need to know who's watching my content and what you guys like. It doesn't cost you anything. If you could just hit that sub button and subscribe to your boy Scribe, I will promise to try and deliver the best content that I possibly can straight into your phones or your computers, whatever you happen to use. I don't judge. Even if you're using an Apple product. Yeah, I don't discriminate. Thanks, guys. Honor versus vengeance, fear versus hope. These battles between the dark and the light have always persisted. Battles won by the bold and those who command them. Welcome to the Holotables, where competitors collect the galaxy's greatest heroes and ships and prove their might in battle. Now, it's your time to leave a legacy. How will you shape the future? Not the future, the fate of the galaxy. Don't hire me as a voice actor, because clearly I can't even read basic text. And then you've got a little bit here that says skip cinematics, label skip. So obviously they're investing in a new cinematic that's going to have certain lines. I'm wondering, like, these lines could just be the lines that appear as part of text. Would have thought that would have been encoded as part of the video, generally speaking. I'm hoping it's not that they're going to use an AI voiceover that reads the lines and just spits them out. Probably not. But the point stands, it looks like CG are building cinematics into the game right now as part of the new user experience. What does this mean exactly? Well, I think personally, it reinforces my behavior or my belief that the next era is going to be focused around whatever we see coming out of Mandalorian and Grogu. That film drops in mid-May, a new era starts in May. It feels like CG is looking at this as an opportunity of, hey, we haven't had a new Star Wars film since 2019. This is our opportunity to seize new players that are going to get an interest in Star Wars, because anything big media Star Wars brings a focus to things like Galaxy of Heroes. Let's grab those new players. Let's put a fresh lick of paint on this game and let's try to push. And my hope is, if they're willing to do this and they get more players coming in and more people spending money, we will see further investments in other key areas of the game that desperately need it. I'm talking about your Grand Arena. I'm talking about your territory wars. I'm talking about let's get another territory battle that can maybe reward us a character. Brand new things that are interesting, things that drive us to play the game, things that make us as a guild want to try and develop together. That's where I'm talking about new planets with new special missions that give us something valuable, not something boring like, oh, you get a little bit more Kyrotech or you get an extra star. Give us something to chase. Because when raids used to come out, we used to get raid characters, Traya, Kenobi, Han Solo. These are still really valuable characters to this day. It used to be a great accomplishment when your guild could be like, oh, we beat the raid. We are now officially earning Traya shards. We are able to beat the Kiadimundi mission on Lightside GOTB. We beat the Wat mission. We beat the Reaver mission. That sort of drive to try and get everybody on board to unlock these characters was a real sense of accomplishment for guilds, and we seem to have lost that. We haven't had something like that since the Reaver mission. You could argue things like the Mandalore unlock and the Zepho unlock, and technically you can say that the raids are similar, but it doesn't feel the same. Getting currency doesn't feel the same as unlocking something meaningful. And I'm hoping that this shows that CG is not afraid to try and push that narrative, to try and push it towards something. And I'm hoping that the Mandalorian and Grogu film is great and it brings in lots of people and we get a new GL out of it and a new raid out of it and potentially new planets in TB with new special missions and unlocks and all that good business. But hey, I don't need to say what I'm hoping for the future of this game is. I want you guys to tell me, what are you looking forward to? What would you like to see in the game? An overhaul to TW, an overhaul to GAC, more guild-based PvP interactions, multiple guilds territory wars, a leaderboard for territory wars that actually means something, closer to a system like we've got in GAC where you've got leagues and divisions. Like, imagine, 4 guild versus 4 guild. Imagine combining territory wars and territory battles where you can compete and control zones with different benefits and different bonuses. Lots of things. There are lots of different game modes that could be made for this. But hey, I want to know your thoughts, guys. Ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, let me know in the comment section down below what are your hopes and dreams for the future of Galaxy of Heroes. And I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.